When you look at the Andy Griffith Show and you examine the characters that made the show so popular, the first two that come to mind are probably Andy and Barney. But you have to always remember that one of the biggest parts of this show was the acting of Ron Howard, who played Opie. Opie was Andy's son, and Opie is probably, in my opinion, the best child actor I have ever seen on the screen. He was consistently on point on every scene. I have never seen a kid with more good facial expressions and more interaction with the camera and the other cast members. And most people know that Ron went on into the production of movies and did some acting as well in TV. He played Richie Cunningham in Happy Days. Then he started into his directing, and his directing is just legendary. One would think that being a child actor would open doors up later on in life to anybody that was a child actor, but that's not the case most of the time. Today we're going to talk about Opie's friend on the show, Howie. Now, Howie Pruitt was one of Opie's best friends on the show. There were basically two characters that played Opie's friends on the show that were there quite a bit. One of them was Johnny Paul Jason. The other one was Dennis Rush. Dennis is the one that played Howie on the show. As a child, Dennis didn't dream of becoming a movie star when he grew up. He actually was one. He starred in 4 movies and he starred in 18 TV series before his 15th birthday. He worked with the likes of James Cagney, Gene Kelly, and Ron Howard. Now, Dennis grew up in Sherman Oaks, which is on the outskirts of L.A., and his father was a film editor for Universal Studios. His father used to tell him if he was a good boy, you can go to lunch with me sometime at the studio. Dennis acted good and was able to go to lunch one day with his dad at Universal. Now, it just so happens that the table they sat at, James Cagney, was eating lunch at the same table that day. That legendary actor approached Dennis's father and asked him, "Gosh, I'm looking for a kid to play my son, and I just have not found the right kid." He states that his son looks just like James Cagney did at that time. "Would you let him be in this part?" he asked. Dennis's dad explained that his son had no acting experience or training at all. Cagney didn't seem to care. His parents told him if he felt like doing it, that they would support him in doing this. The movie was 1957's Man of a Thousand Faces, and it was a critical and commercial juggernaut, the Hollywood-sized life story of Lon Chaney. It portrayed the silent screen horror star's contentious relationship with his mentally ill wife and the custody battle for their son. Now, Dennis played the 4-year-old Lon Chaney Jr. He had a whopping 30 minutes of screen time, including the movie's most heart-wrenching scene, where Chaney is forced to place his son in an orphanage after his wife attempts suicide, and a judge declares him unfit to care for the boy until he establishes gainful employment. James Cagney kind of coached Dennis on how to act and feel in the part. He told him a story that made tears start flowing to his eyes. Then they shot the scene. Now, after that movie's release, every casting director in town inquired on who that new kid was. He appeared in The Lucy Show, Perry Mason, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, My Favorite Martian, Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, and a few more. He absolutely loved working with Lucille Ball. He calls her a pro beyond belief. In 1963, an offer came from the Andy Griffith Show. He starred in 8 episodes as one of Opie's 2 best buddies. He recalls the times when he and Ron Howard and other cast members played baseball and football together on the lot, and the producers even built him a basketball court. His last acting role was in 1966 in Walt Disney's film Follow Me, Boys. He was 15 years old at the time, And before Jodie Foster and, coincidentally, Ron Howard blazed a trail for child actors to transition into adult ones, and before the Disney Channel provided an incubator for it all, the age of 15 was retirement age for child actors. The studio would rather hire someone that was a 21-year-old to play a 16-year-old so they could avoid the child labor laws. During an 8-hour day, the kids had to have 3 hours of schooling and 1 hour for lunch, so that cut into the filming time. If you didn't work in the business between ages 16 and 21, that meant there were 5 whopping years of never popping into a casting director's head. Once they were old enough to be cast again, most child actors found themselves forgotten instead. At the age of 21, Dennis decided to forget Hollywood, and he moved to San Diego to attend the University of San Diego. It was then called San Diego State. In 1969, he joined the Marines, and afterward, he did a little bartending. He worked at the Hotel La Jolla for 13 years, after which he joined the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club, where he served in various roles for 34 years. Dennis states that it was a clean break for him and that his acting life ended and his adult life began. He still gets tiny residual checks from a lot of the movies that he did. But there were no residuals for the Andy Griffith Show. Most people probably don't know that he was a child actor at this stage of the game. He tends to be fairly secretive about it and shies away from things like Mayberry Days and Mount Airy. He's currently the director of operations for the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club. What a great job Dennis did in his role as Howie on the Andy Griffith Show. That's what I remember him most as, and he was one of those kid actors on the Andy Griffith Show that did an excellent job. He was pretty close to Opie as far as his talent. Thank you so much, Dennis, for the time you spent entertaining us in our childhood and still entertaining us today. I watch Andy Griffith every night. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much for watching.